Hip Hop 1212. This is the button pusher representing Grind City TV Network Roku, and you're tuned in to It's Yours Radio with legendary interviews, classic music, hosted by Donnie O and J Mo.
Yeah, so when I look at it, I'm like, we have to take more dominion over AI creative community. And we also have to, we gotta balance it. We have to present more balance. You have to. You have no choice. You cannot continuously every record, every song. And I know we sound like the old guys complaining, but I can promise you it's not.
Yeah.
I love the culture. I love all music. I love music that predates me. I don't have a problem with listening to anything now. If it speaks to me, if it serves me, if it's talking to me, if it's speaking to me, telling me something that I need to hear, even if it's something silly, which I can use sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, because nobody wants to be hit upside the head with knowledge and consciousness all day.
Yeah, nah.
And we want to turn up every now and then.
Yeah.
But we, like you said, we need that balance, and that's my only thing. We need that. So how do we get that? Because we got right now, we don't have. We used to have Bad Boy, Rockefeller, No Limit, all of them. Even we had back in the day, you had Loud, Raucous. You had Sleeping Bag Records.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just naming like some of the indie Koch, the indie labels that push the real hip hop. The hip hop with a balance. Go ahead.
I think we're kind of in a transition where you're gonna have. I tell my friends, I'm like, look, man, the music business today is what it was in the 50s. Bunch of independent labels putting out silly records like The Twist. And that's what it was, because that's what the technology afforded for. In the 60s and the 70s, it changed. FM radio came, and you got the long player. Then you got more concept. Artists became more creative based off of the times. We're going through a difficult time right now, creatively. And I'll be the first to admit that. There's some good stuff out there, but you got to look for it. And some of the worst of culture does seem to rise to.
Well, see, and that's the thing. There are a lot of independent artists out there and a lot of independent labels, but it's still the majors that get to play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, the
and then just real quick too, when we talk about because you got the Sky Zoos and the Torres and those guys like that who the terminology, the guys with spit bars, they hip hop, but they own the independent labels. Now they get a little buzz, and when you talk about, you got to look and find though. You know what I'm saying? You got to really dig. Now back in the day, think about it. Back in the day, Wu wasn't on the radio. Redman, Method Man, they weren't on the radio like that. You know what I'm saying? No. But what we had back then, we had another vehicle that they don't have today. Back then, you had Yo MTV Raps. You had Rap City. Those cats went gold and platinum. The basement off the music video shows, what they have no longer. So that was a way for them. Okay, you're not on the radio, but you're on the music video shows, and that's still a national platform. And it enabled us to find out a lot about the underground cats too, as they were playing. They play a little bit of everything. Where on the radio, you might hear an MC Hammer joint, or you might hear some Mix-a-Lot or something like that, something friendly and something not too, you know what I mean? Yeah. So today it's like, okay, for the quote unquote guys that spit bars, or guys who we like to call real hip hop, they're out there. We try to spotlight and highlight some of them on Sundays, but we just one show. And in one station. So how do we get them out there? How do we do that? You know what I'm saying?
I think it's, again, like I said, goes inside. There will be another movement like that, and because what we fail to realize when we talk about hip hop is how young it is, in
the grand scheme of things.
And it's going to splinter off. It's going to turn into other types of music, other subcultures that come out of it. One of the things that I want to champion moving forward in my life is just trying to make sure that we always have a respect the traditional approach to the creation of the music. If you look at country music, a guy like a Chris Stapleton can exist where he just makes traditional country music. It ain't pop country. It's just the old country music, and he's allowed to exist with the country more contemporary country. Mm-hmm. And the same thing, a Leon Bridges can make a real version of soul music. And, so to me, we got to be able to embrace that, and we got to be able to allow the culture to mature. We kind of cut it off at his feet. Like, okay, after 30, you done. You can't. Yeah. And we gotta allow the culture.
Why we do that?
We gotta, because it's short-sighted, and we're young. It's a young culture. We don't know no better.
But you know what though, Gator?
We gotta allow for an adult hip hop market to germinate. To have it where you can bring a Big Daddy Kane to town and maybe put a couple of other young artists on there with him. We gotta allow it, but and that's a black people thing.
I was about to say, because
that's not a hip hop thing.
Just real quick, we do that with sports.
Yeah,
we do that with the use the Jordan, LeBron.
Right.
We talking about earlier, this generation versus that generation. Yeah. It's to the NBA. It's like, they so disrespectful to the cats before. Yeah. I know our generation, we respected them cats. Yeah. And like today, these cats do not respect history. You know what I'm saying? And that's, again, that goes with sports. That goes with music. Yeah, again, that's a cultural thing.
That's a black
thing.
That's a black thing.
You see these white kids, man, they love Kiss. They love the Rolling Stones. They big them up. They still doing stadiums.
They want to do show. They want to do songs with them.
Yeah, they're 70 years old.
I just saw a young artist on that Saturday Night Live, and she had one of the dudes from Fleetwood Mac come out and play with her, and she was like yo,
probably in awe. Yeah,
she was like, yo, like this is the dude from Yeah. So, but that's a black thing, and we still have an opportunity to improve on that. We have an opportunity, because I hate the fact that there's no bridge between hip hop from the 80s and now. Like, it should be a bridge there. Like, if we were really, but it's not so much that dudes like Gator or Randy or you don't want to build a bridge between now and what was, but it has to be accepted. It has to be relished. It has to be appreciated. When you think about a dude like Kendrick, he has an appreciation for the culture that came before. Think about Corday. He has an appreciation for the culture that came before him. A lot of the dudes, their inspiration for making music is not to create the best art or to contribute to the culture positively.
It's about the bag.
It's to get famous.
Bag and women.
It's validation.
Yeah.
More than anything, is validation. It's I need to validate. I need to validate my existence. And this vehicle allows me to do that. But when we approach it from that standpoint, we totally diminish what it's really about.
What we're gonna take that and transition to the next topic, which kind of leads right into Gator. I'm coming to you,
okay,
and then P, and then L. We talked about the music. We talked about using the N word, how we do that, and it's funny. Is that they allow us to do that, but they won't allow us to say derogatory terms toward other groups of people. But my question is, why do we want to do that? You know what I'm saying? And then they capitalizing off of it. Now we can take the term and twist it and say, well, it's not nigga, it's nigger. No, I don't want to hear that, because if a white person says it, we get bent out of shape. You know what I'm saying? So why would we even want to delve into? And I ain't gonna sit here in front like I don't say it and hadn't said it. It's something I try to eliminate, and I have eliminated from my vocabulary because I know the power of words. And we got to change that narrative. We can't keep wanting something different but keep doing the same thing over and over. That's insanity. So my thing is, even if we starting from the greeting, greeting one another, the mistreatment of one another is like no other with us compared to other groups. You know what I mean? We walking down the street, we mean mugging, white people, hi, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? And we bump into somebody, you bumped into me, whatever. And our first thing, look, just real quick, because listen.
I got to jump in.
But hold on, just real quick, Al, before you do, because me and B. Lou was talking about this last week, a couple of weeks ago. Now, if it's a white person and we have an issue with them or whatever, and not that we should, but we'll let it slide. Because I mean, they gonna call the cops. I'm gonna get jammed about a man. You know what I mean? So we're putting value on them in the situation. Well, with us, we don't care. We'll go to prison for that. I kill this dude because you disrespected me or because of whatever.
So
because
deep.
we don't have the value for one another.
So deep.
So, and a lot of that starts at home.
So
and then
deep.
it comes into the music because, you know, we talk about these cats from the streets and they get into the game and like they can't separate the two. That's who they are. That's how they were brought up. You know what I'm saying? So you want them to all of a sudden change. Some of them do. You can take a Jay. He know how to turn the switch off and on. You know what I mean? That's why him and Dame class, because Dame didn't know how to do that. Beanie didn't know how to do that. You know, a cat like Cam, he did that. He know how to, you know what I mean? So it was crazy. And you see who's lasted longer. You know what I mean? So where do we go as a people to respect one another? Forget hip hop. I'm just talking about in general, the mistreatment of one another and show that we kings and queens and because we always talk about, L, you said we can get to this place or whatever. I don't believe it because we can't get united on one thing.
Well, it's a social, what you're speaking about is social conditioning. It's a social, you know, black people, after the Emancipation Proclamation.
Come on.
And we had Reconstruction. And they put America back together. What happened in that is such an intricate point in our history because at that point, white superiority and black inferiority became cemented in our social indoctrination. White people white people just see themselves as free. They just see themselves as what they are.
Yeah,
black people have always had the hurdle of, first of all, achieving freedom and then having to get a personal identity of who you are, what you are, after you realize that you're free.
And we're still doing it.
Yeah. And white people have never had that. They've never had to live under that. And when we talk about white privilege, that is really one of the things we're talking about.
Right.
When you're living a life where you've never had to overcome these social obstacles in order to just be equal. So black people see themselves as inferior in so many ways. I mean, and it's innate. That's why you wear Gucci all over your clothes, so you people know that you somebody, that you are something. So you're constantly looking for a validation of you. And sometimes in doing so, we mistreat each other because we've never seen any value placed upon black people from a societal standpoint. You go from being considered a piece of cattle to being considered a human being. Where is the value ever placed upon you? That's why that's why a black dude can get shot in the street and people don't flinch. White people don't even flinch because there's no value placed on black people in this country. We still looking for value.
It's funny you say that. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Gator. Go ahead.
All right. So, L said, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
That whole thing, part of the question you was asking about, where do we go, how we treat each other, where does that come from, this, that, and the third. L gave a eloquent definition. Still ain't there. It broke down after chattel slavery. But this thing it's so deep that this thing is almost to the point of where it's all the way deep down in our psyche and mental aspect and in our DNA. Even the fear factor, right? Just like right now. Or let's just use a scenario. I don't want to take long. We all done did it. It could be us and we could be talking in our own language. We could be talking about some injustices or some things about white people, whatever. And we all got some white counterparts that we may really value, we cool with. But then we really hitting on the subject and the white person walks in the room and we kind of gotta, we don't realize, like, you know what I'm saying? We still talking about it, right? It's an identity, but that thing is so subconsciously, innate. So I'm gonna go ahead and say something, right? I follow a teaching, and I'm reading a book right now. I ain't read it in a long time. called Message to the Black.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I didn't read it all those years. I always had it.
Elijah Muhammad.
I'm not giving you this as my starting point or my view, but because I've always had these kind of views. Maybe it's me being a child of the 70s, raised in the 80s, right? But when you think about it, I'm gonna make a statement. Hopefully it ain't offensive. Creator, God never made a nigga. The nigga was created.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we on live, whatever,
No.
but the nigga was created. And what we suffer from is niggerism. You know what I'm saying? We have yet to getting back to being a black man and a black woman not only because of superiority, but because of our mental and our mentality and what was taught to you. Everything that was taught to us, like El was saying, you was only considered you was like a piece of chattel.
Yeah.
Our
Old
value
property.
had no more value than an animal or a piece of livestock. From the moment we was brought here,
Property.
like
Property.
livestock.
Yeah.
Right? Every picture that you seen was of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they gave you God.
White Jesus, yeah.
You do know they did not allow us to read, right?
Yeah.
You got your tongue cut out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It was against the law for you to know how to read. But what was the first thing they gave you? And they did say
they gave us the Bible,
to you.
and they only were allowed to read certain parts.
And I'm
of
not
it.
saying nothing is wrong, because there's a whole lot of truth and a whole lot of
indeed.
power there. I believe in that.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For
I
sure.
definitely believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
But they use the parts to make a nigga.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna give you a quote real quick. Pray for those. Listen to my voice. Pray for those
And you in church now?
who despitefully use you.
Yeah.
And if he smites your right cheek,
And what you do?
give him the left cheek. Come on, man.
I'm gonna tell you. Let me give you another one. You get your reward in heaven.
Go ahead, huh?
You know what I'm saying?
Man, I love this conversation.
You
man.
get your
Like,
reward in heaven. Hey, P, I want P. I want P jump in.
I love this, and I hate to hog it up, but like I said, man, for real, we talking about identity, talking about you knowing who you are and your place in this world, as opposed to what you've been through and what you've been taught. The first thing I had to do one day, just for my own self, just as an adult man, just had to realize that, ain't no white man better than me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't no white man better than me. And not disrespecting white men, because I got plenty of white friends. One of my white homegirls is listening right now.
Yeah.
Like, I got plenty of white friends. So
Likewise.
I'm not an anti-white person, but I'm a pro-black person.
It's a difference.
So that means that I gotta stop feeling like I'm in some inferiority place, or my mental is different, or that ice is colder, or any of that. I don't feel I've freed myself for all of that. So once you do that, I can look at other black people with a sense of humanity and treat this brother who I've never met before. Me and Randy came up together. We know each other. Me and you grew up together. But I could treat this brother with all the respect in the world, because I just see him as another human being going through the struggle as me. Just trying to make it like me. Just trying to he want good food for his kids. He want a good education. And so the first thing with us as black people, speaking of what I'm trying to speak exactly to your point, is treating each other better first starts with us elevating our humanity and identity of self. I'm not less than, regardless of where I come from, regardless of where I've been, regardless of what my situation is. I'm not less than. I'm not, white people don't have a moral authority on us. If you look at throughout history what they've done, so they're not anyone to look at and say, I want to aspire to be. I look at them as children of God like me, for real.
Right. And that's
And
what
I
it
look
should
at that. Sometimes I feel like, they've been lied to just like I have.
be.
Somebody told them that and somebody told them a lie. And it's crazy to see a lot of them now in this day and time starting to come into an understanding of that. I haven't had to experience some of the things that black people have had to endure in this country. And we can never downplay that. I mean, we can't talk about it from a guilt standpoint. I don't want to guilt white people in having empathy for black people. but I do want them to elevate their humanity, understand.
It's not enough of them doing that.
Yeah, that their trajectory.
It's not enough.
Yeah, that their trajectory and our trajectory has been one that has been totally different.
Yeah.
And to look at me with any type of contempt based on circumstance, yo, come on.
Yeah.
Like, where's your humanity? Like,
Indeed.
elevate your level of humanity.
Indeed. P, go ahead.
I'm in agreement with you, El. You kind of like spoke the words I spoke, especially the part about being lied to. If you're Caucasian in America, you've been lied to. You've been made to feel like you better than someone else. That's a lie. That's what you was fed. But to go back to your main question. I mean, your main topic. We have to continue to have platforms like this, and to let especially the younger generation, those as parents, and even if you're a mentor, if you don't have no kids, you're a mentor. Continue to empower your community with the knowledge. Like you said, he didn't get a chance to read The Message of the Black Man. He had the book for a while, but then now since he read it over, start reading it again. He's starting to realize the lie. Yeah,
tell us some much.
That helped you realize the lies. Of course, this book was published many years ago, but
In the 70s.
we have to continue to bring that home in the community, in the youth camps, even before the guys go play anything in the basketball team. Have like a 2-minute devotion and look, hey man, you are somebody. You can make it. You ain't no different than no one else. Before they even start picking up the basketball, picking up the football, picking up whatever it is to practice that day. Continue to give our youth the affirmation, because it is a generation that got lost, like El was talking. Not even just with music, just with life. It's a generation that just didn't get empowered, whether through music or through their leaders in their community. But we have the power now, brothers and sisters. So let's go ahead and empower our youth. From this day forth, just make that our priority.
One of the things that Randy keeps saying that I don't want us to miss is the word community. And when you think about community as a word, the root word of it is unity.
Unity.
You know what I'm saying? So, as black people, as black men, I think one of the biggest issues that we've had is, whatever reason, sometimes aren't in the household.
Man, you read my notes, Al.
No, I'm just saying.
Because the next question, the next topic was going to be absence of the family structure.
But
so you went right into that.
To speak to that, if you look at any successful society in the world, the cornerstone is family. Any successful society in the world, and I ain't talking just white people. I hate the fact that we always look at white people as moral authority. If you look at any successful society in the world, Dominican, Asian, any group of people realize how important family is. Even if it's not a traditional one, they understand the importance of family.
And L, to your point, there's 70. I'm gonna get it. You can Gator. I'm gonna let you go get it. 70% at B-Lou. This is to your point. Last week we was talking about why they do the count of how many black people there are and how many white people there are. And for reasons like this. There's only 70%, well, not only, let me take that back, 30%, but there's 70% of black households doesn't have the father and the mother there. They didn't have to tell us that. We knew that. But it goes back to that conversation we had the last State of the Black, when you said the State of the Black Man in America a couple years ago, Al put the nail on the head and we said it was a transition. We talked about transitions in music. Now we're going to talk about transitions in our community. What was it that hit us in the black community? It was the crack era. That crack era destroyed us, and it still has residual effects to this day.
Absolutely.
To this day.
Listen, man, I look at, it's crazy because this is crazy. Remember, everybody saw the Verses a couple weeks ago with Kane and KRS. And it made you realize, like, damn, man, like hip-hop was different at one time. What happened? The Jiggy era happened, shiny suits and all of that. That's what crack was to us. It was the shiny suit era. It was a crazy, crazy time, man. And the government had a hand in it.
Indeed.
And it was such an interesting thing when you really sit back and look at it. And if you look at TV now, it's a bunch of shows about
into that.
crack in the 80s and how much You know, the funny thing is you think about how Ronald Reagan came into office in 1980. Mm-hmm. At that time, he cut all the social programs in the inner cities. Mm-hmm. CETA programs, summer job programs.
That was by design.
All of that goes away. Now you don't have a rec center to go to. You don't have a summer job. Then all of a sudden, here comes this business opportunity slamming your neighborhood, taking it. And I know people by name. My cousin Anthony worked in the CETA program and had a summer job, him and his friends every summer. Then Ronald Reagan got elected, and that went away. And he still had his summer job because the people that he worked for liked him and kept him. All his friends didn't. And guess what they ended up doing? Selling dope right in Easton. And I've seen it, you know, and it's crazy when you think about it, man, how much the crack era robbed black people of our brilliance, of our pageantry, how it made our aunts fiends, how, you know, it brought sanitation to our neighborhoods, it brought crime to our neighborhoods, it burned out our neighborhoods. Read a book by A.Z. Faison, who, you know, of famous AZ, the Paid in Full, Rich Porter and them. And he said, man, we had all this money in the 80s and Harlem was burnt out and they were selling buildings for $1. He said we could have bought all of those buildings for the price that we paid for a car. Owned all of Harlem, sat on it until the gentrification came. And then sold it. Yeah. He said, but we weren't smart enough. He said we bought cars that got old. We were dealing with chicks that got fat, clothes that went out of style, and money that got taken away. So what, you know,
we was blinded by all the things they want us to be blinded with. And I'm gonna go ahead and jump in because now come on, let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. I've been being nice, to be honest.
Come on, man, let it go,
you know
man.
What I'm saying?
It's real
so,
talk,
like,
baby.
I'm gonna say this first. So I hope some mothers is listening to have some black sons, or even if you have a son that's biracial, please listen to what I'm saying.
Talk, baby.
But we talking, our whole topic today is state of the black man. And I feel like we talking about it, but we tiptoeing on some of this. We being too nice on some shit, on some stuff. Excuse me, radio. Right? Because I want to keep my language right. But I'm going to say this first. Knowledge of self equals love of self. Love of self will help you equal for love of others. Now, earlier, a few minutes ago, y'all was talking about community, right? And we said we don't like to, you know, put up a mirror of a mirror from, you know, the white community to our community. Well, let me go ahead and break this down and be honest with you, with how I see it. We don't have much of a community. We got hoods. They have communities. And when you see communities, you see a community where there's things that are congregated. They got come togetherness. When they open their door, they walk out their door, they don't have the same stress level that we have. All right, when they walk out their door, you got birds chirping. You got and I ain't saying all of them. You got some manicured grass.
Most of them,
right? You know what I'm saying? Let me finish.
I got birds chirping where I live at.
I'm using this as an analogy.
No doubt.
You know, and when we talking about like number wise, you know, for a lot of us, we don't walk out and our stressor is different. So we have hood, and I'm not saying our hoods don't have some sense of community. It's a lot of love there. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying when you talk about community, you got more togetherness, like my man was saying. You be able to get more done. All right. No, just on another level. Like, why do we always have to apologize for, like you said, wanting to love your culture and love yourself?
Hip Hop 1212. This is the button pusher representing Grind City TV Network Roku, and you're tuned in to It's Yours Radio with legendary interviews, classic music, hosted by Donnie O and J Mo.